swag out there and boss. Look, is that bow tie paisley?
Welcome to another edition of the Sartorial Geek Podcast by Webster Style, where we talk about bow ties, comic books, and of course, everything between. I'm your host, Webster Style, the man, the voice, the fragrance, and of course, let's jump right into the download. Now, this week's download is a game that has been highly anticipated, or at least its debut on Game Pass has been highly anticipated. It is a game in a series that is long cherished and criticized, and very much set forth the action RPG genre. And that's right, we're talking about Diablo 4, set in the Diablo series World of Sanctuary. Diablo 4 takes place following the aftermath of Diablo 3. Of course, it takes place after Diablo 3. Reaper of Souls cultists have summoned the main antagonist and daughter Mephisto Lilith. After the events of previous games, the forces of demons and angels have been depleted, allowing an opening for her to establish power in Sanctuary. Now, Diablo is a series that I have never gotten into. While the action RPG genre is one that I've enjoyed over the years, my closest take to a Diablo game or Diablo style game is Gauntlet, and that's taken it back a ways, like to the Gauntlet game that was on in the Dreamcast era, Dreamcast PS2. I'm not sure if it came out on Xbox or not, but that's my biggest foray into that sort of genre. However, I am looking forward to trying it out on Game Pass. I've heard good things and bad things about Diablo 4, but since I'm already paying for Game Pass, I might as well try it out. So that's my download for this week. Diablo 4, if you got it on Game Pass, check it out. This Game Pass PC and console. So there you go. Staying within the realm of Microsoft, the Halo series just completed its second season. And if you remember back to last year when I talked about the original series, I was thoroughly upset with that series. It was just, for a series based on Halo, it was not good. If it was something else entirely, then it might have been decent. And I honestly tried to give it a lot of leeway because I know that they said from the jump that it wasn't a literal sort of retelling of what we know. They're using the existing lore and being inspired to create something new. Okay. First season, that didn't go too well. The second season, though, it's like the first season, it had to crawl for the second season to run. For the most part, the second season was some damn good television. I will give you that. I saw someone liken at least certain episodes akin to Battlestar Galactica and that sort of political intrigue. And that's exactly what it was. I really enjoyed it. I love the political intrigue. I loved Pablo Schreiber's Master Chief. One of the things that a lot of people really got their panties in a bunch about was the fact that especially in season 1, that Master Chief took off his helmet too much. Season 2, he's damn near out of his armor for most of the series. I thought that worked perfectly. I think that made Master Chief more of a hero, more of a man than the games do. And I think even toward the end of this second season, it talked about Master Chief as a symbol. And I think in the games, they do a very good job of showing Master Chief as a symbol, but not so much as a man, not so much as to why this man inspires outside of he's just kick ass on the battlefield and killing the Covenant, yada, yada, yada. The series did a very good job of really showing him as a human being, which made him even more of a hero, in my opinion. So, key points, key things I really loved about the series, the second season. The pacing was really good. I enjoyed the pacing. Two, this is one of the things I hated so much about it, but the drastic divergence from the video game and the lore that's been established there. As someone who is very familiar with Halo, you're always on the edge of your seat because you don't know what's going to happen. Because there are characters who have passed away, who in the series, who are very prominent in the game, well past the original Halo. You have these side characters, Quan and all of them, who were really annoying first season, whose side stories I really enjoyed, especially as everyone kind of came together. I really, without all the backstory, the characters, they're better characters, in my opinion. And maybe that sounds weird to say, but they are better characters as with regards to the story that's being told season two compared to the story that was told in season one. I felt like season one with Quan's character as well as and I forget Bokeem Woodbine's character's name. I felt like their stories took away from Master Chief. I felt like it took away from the story I wanted to see on Reach. This season, their stories were interwoven very well with Master Chief, with the overall story arc of what was going on with Reach. And one of the things I said last season was when when Reach gets glassed, that's when the series will get better. And that's exactly what happened. I won't even say it's like what happened. From the start of it, it started getting better. Then when Reach was invaded and then ultimately fell, the story that was told, it was heart-wrenching. It was such a testament as far as human ingenuity and human strength and fortitude. And it really established Master Chief as Master Chief, as to why they would look to him, why they would put their faith in him. That was really on point. Things I didn't like about this season. Let me be frank. There's one main thing I didn't like about this season. The flood has already been introduced. They didn't even make it to the Halo, and they introduced the flood. And the whole introduction of the flood was so generic. And excuse me, but I hate the trope of stupid, nosy ass scientists grabbing shit they don't need to be grabbing. I'm sorry, you can tell I'm really pissing me off. Grabbing things they don't need to be grabbing, opening things, and then things transmitting all over the place. And now it's literally like any other zombie movie you've really seen. And I didn't like that. There is something about the introduction of the flood in the game because one, you never see it coming. Like you literally never see it coming. It's like you get to that, and I believe it's a silent library. You get to that, and the flood's there, and it just totally changes the dynamic of the game. Like period. The way it was introduced in the series with Halsey and her daughter, and the fact that you had this forerunner technology on this planet they were at, and Quan and them is connected to the forerunners somehow. The fact that that's established now. Again, there's a change from the lore, but I don't understand what they're going to do. And I'm a little agitated at that because I don't know what they're going to do, but the fact that the flood was introduced in this way, it was such a generic zombie movie sort of introduction. There was no flair, there was no surprise. It was just stupid human beings doing stupid human being nosy scientist stuff. And that irritates me like I don't know what. Because it really was just they didn't have to do it that way. They didn't like Halsey and her daughter. Her daughter hadn't been there most of the damn season. There was no need to have her there. There was no need to introduce the flood in the way that they did. Like seriously. I know all of that's connected to Quan and everything, but there's really no need. And that pisses me off. So now, like, even with McKee's character was actually written very well this season. I am not upset the fact that her and John have this connection to the Halo in some way, shape, or form. I am not upset about that. Again, last season the whole thing about Marquis' characters, the fact they had sex, I'm like that was really, you didn't need them having sex to foster this connection between them, because their connection was about the artifact, not about them having sex. So I really don't understand that decision. Another high point, the action scenes were on point. I think they went to a redesign of the Covenant elites. I thought it was very well done. It looked less, and this may sound weird, less video gamey compared to last season. I felt like this effects for the Covenant last season were not up to par. It took me out of the action. I think that this season, this season, really did a good job with special effects. I like seeing the different types of the Covenant, not the elites. You saw the elites, the brutes, and all the other ones. It was very well done. The action scenes in general were just very well done. I feel like they had a better fight choreographer, especially when she fought the Arbiter in the season finale. Thought that was very well done, but they did have some good action sequences, hand-to-hand combat. It was overall, the season was it was so good. It was, I wouldn't say it's a total redemption from season one. Mostly. I would say if season one was a 5, season 2 was like an 8. Pushing a 9, maybe 8.5. The introduction of the flood really kills it for me. It really, really does. It kills a lot of the goodwill I had toward the series. Not a lot, but it kills that goodwill that'll bump it up to a 9. Because really, I enjoyed watching the whole season, even the frustrating parts of the flood. I just thought that this season overall was really well crafted. They told a really good story. They had really good character development. Again, except for Halsey. Halsey can go. I was happy when I thought she was dead, because her character's annoying and always causes trouble in the case of the flood. Always causes trouble. Even though it wasn't directly her daughter, it was her daughter's fault. And her daughter, she get it from her mama, and exactly what happened. She got the nosiness from her mama. So, other than that, it was just a really well done series. A really well done season. And consider how much the series has now diverged from the show. Excuse me. The show has diverged from the games. I am excited to see what series 3 or season 3 has to offer, especially since we ended, or the season finale was bookended with Chief talking to, was it Guilty Gear, Guilty Spark 343 inside of the Halo. So I'm interested to see what happens there. But then even going back to the flood, what's going to happen there? Because the Halo's whole existence is to eradicate the flood. So I'm interested to see and excited to see what happens in season 3 when it drops next year. So that's my take on Halo season 2. Next up, with our online diversification of knowledge, there's literally a course for any and everything. My next guest has devised a course for a very unlikely but increasingly popular, dare I say, career path, or at least entrepreneurial endeavor. My next guest is AZ, porn star AZP, cameraman turned on screen talent who, through his 16 years of being in the adult industry, has taken his knowledge and devised a course, the Porn Star course, for those who are interested in getting into the adult industry. So sit back, get your popcorn ready as I talk to AZP about his time in the adult industry, how he created the course, what the course is about, what does he do to his magnificent beard, and also, of course, what his favorite fragrance is. Check it out. What's going on, everybody? It's Webster here, the man, the voice, the fragrance. Here with a gentleman with a very luxurious and wonderful beard. We have none other than Arizona porn star AZP. How you doing today, sir?
I am doing well. Thank you for having me on the show. I appreciate you.
Well, thank you for being here. I appreciate your time. Now, there are many questions I want to have or want to ask of you, but the first one is I have noticed, especially in my time in interviewing individuals in the adult industry, there is an increased sense of professionalism that I would say from the outside looking in, and especially someone being in their 40s, that's not something the industry is known for. And you're taking that even a step further by developing your own course to educate individuals on basically how to produce and be in the adult industry. Tell us about your course.
Sure. So the course came about because of what you said. I was seeing a lot of new performers coming into this industry and lacking that professionalism. They were treating it like a dating game. They would take their equipment, which, in this case is a phone a lot of the times, and they didn't know how to use it. So it was poor quality content. And it was just, I looked at it and I said, we could do better. Having been in and around this industry for 16 years now, I've seen the professional side, the pro side that brings in a lot of the professionalism, a lot of the things that, the studios stand for and the different brands stand for. But I wasn't seeing that on the content creator side. And, as everybody's just like, hey, listen, I've got a dick and I've got a camera, let's film some content. And, that was it. There wasn't anything around paperwork. There wasn't anything around STD testing. And to me, that's all part of the professionalism. It's not just the communication. It's not just the content you put out. It's the ways that you protect yourself, and it's the ways that you protect your co-stars as well.
Right. I think that's something that is very worthwhile. And I think that people in general, again, from someone who's not in the industry looking in, that is something that I think in general you don't think about. And people like me now are getting into the industry, so they really don't think about that aspect of things. But one of the things too that, and especially you coming from the camera side of things and then becoming a performer, there's definitely, I would assume, an eye for the filmmaking part, for the content creation part, not just the actions involved. And one of the things I've seen more and more, you have people who are getting in who have no concept of that side of things. You have some that are just have that mindset. They have that mind. They get in and they know about angles, they know about the artistry of it. And some just think it's, hey, I'm gonna set up my phone, get a ring light, and then I'm going to bust it open and sell it on OnlyFans and make a bunch of money.
And that really is, that's the path a lot of people take, is just, bare minimum, get in, just trying to get their dick wet, as I always say. I mean, that's
Mhm.
essentially what it is. Like, I got my phone, I got a light, let's do this. And to what you said, it's the artistry. It's the, how can I produce something that people want to watch, something that excites people, something that brings people back and to purchase more of your content. If you're just going to throw a ring light on, stick the phone halfway across the room, and just have two bodies smashed together, what are you seeing? You're not seeing much of anything. There are people who like seeing, the up close action, and you have to understand your audience. You have to understand the final product. Yeah, especially if you're doing, it works well sometimes in Gonzo, set up the camera and just go for it. But if you have a storyline, you have to think through that storyline. How do I, get from the beginning to the end and tell that story and pull somebody into it? And there's a lot that goes into it. It's not just set up the camera, set up the ring light and go. There's a lot involved.
One of the points you made, I think, it's a very good point. That engagement aspect, that engaging your audience to have them come back over and over again. And I think that is an aspect of things that is lost on a lot of individuals who choose to go in this. I think of, again, I'm a man of a certain age. I remember Vanessa Del Rio and a lot of those classic sort of adult entertainers. There was an engagement in what they did that made you come back as a viewer just to see them. It didn't matter what they did. It's just to see them. And I think that that aspect of it is lost on some who enter the field nowadays.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with you on that one. It's how can I get a video out there as quickly as possible, sell it as cheaply as possible, and who cares if they come back again? I'm just trying to make money, versus I want to build a fan following that no matter what I do follows me through all of those different avenues of life. And ultimately that's, I think, the biggest difference between the professional side and the content creator side. The professional side was building that story, building that brand that you could follow no matter where that actor or actress went. Whereas the content creator is just like, let's get a video out, let's make the video, as cheap as possible and sell it. And both models work, but you have to look at, what is your long-term goal as a business person? What is your long-term goal? Do you want to just, make quick money and move on? Or do you want to build a following that you can then capitalize off of in a number of different ways?
Right. Now, what sort of aspects are available in your course for people to learn?
So the course right now is designed for men. We are going to have a female creator side coming out. But right now it's designed for men. And honestly, that's because I get email after email and tweet and DMs and everything else of going, hey, help me get into the industry. I want to do this. And so it starts off with, I have a dick and a camera, what do I do next? And I walk them through, first of all, why are you doing this? I think there's something that a lot of creators don't necessarily think about right away, which is what are the risks and impact of getting into this industry on if you have, a regular 9-to-5 job, what's the impact on that? What's the impact on with your friends and your family? And so we take them through that, and we look at the equipment. We go, what's important? I have very expensive equipment. You don't need to start there. I mean, our phones have some amazing quality to them, but you have to know how to use it. Then we talk about paperwork. I can't tell you how many creators I run into are just like, hey, I'll just tag you, I'll just tag you. And they don't ever do any paperwork. Well, problem is, if you get kicked off of that platform, you have to put the video up on a different platform. They're going to require paperwork. So take them through that process. We take them through the STD testing, which is huge in this industry. I think the biggest part of the course is really around boundaries, consent, and respect. That is the big thing that I see lacking in a lot of areas. And so we really dive in on that. And then we get into, the shoot day specific. So going over the paperwork, setting up your gear, lighting your scene, filming it from a technical perspective, and then filming it from a performance perspective. Then we take them through editing. And right now we have 2 additional lessons that are coming in, or 2 additional topics, I should say. One of them is how to market yourself on safe for work types of platforms like TikTok and Instagram and things like that. And then how to run your business, how to automate things, what are some KPIs that are important for you. So we really want to take somebody who goes, I want to do this, but I don't know how to get started, and take them through that entire successful cycle, if you will, of setting up for a shoot, shooting the scene, getting it out there, marketing yourself, and then repeating it all over again.
Right. Uh, that's fascinating. But the first part you brought up is probably the first thing I thought about when I saw your course. It was okay, what are maybe most on my mind, like the mental health aspects? Like, what are the risks? And the fact that you make it a point to say, okay, why are you doing this? Do you comprehend, okay, once it's all out there, what could possibly, how it could possibly impact your 9 to 5 job, your, maybe family life or whatnot? And that's very good that those questions are asked, because I think as normal a lot of this becomes in our society, there's still a stigma, right or wrong,
Mhm.
with this aspect in this sort of business, and it is going to impact you in what you do, depending on what you do. I right or wrong, I understand if someone is a teacher and they choose to go into this field as a side hustle. I
Mhm.
understand why that could cause a conflict.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I get
Again,
it.
a right or wrong, like I get it. I get why, and the fact that that question isn't asked at times. Okay, why am I doing this? What are the pros and cons? It seems like any major life decision, that would be something you ask. What are the pros and cons? And especially with something that is so revealing in many aspects, you will want to really weigh the pros and cons before you step your foot into it, because once it's open, is open. As I say, the internet is forever, and it
Yeah.
does not go away.
It does not, and in that topic where I talk about mental health and the risks and impact, I interview fellow co-stars and performers in this industry, and one of them has an absolutely incredible story of what happened to them in real life when their 9 to 5 job found out that they had an OnlyFans, and all of the struggles that they went through, and they share this, and how they were able to get beyond that, and things to that you can do as a creator to make sure that your mental health is in the right place when you're doing this. I'm sure you've seen a lot of the stories recently of this industry losing
Hmm.
a lot of performers to mental health related things, and
Right,
it's this industry is tough, and I don't think a lot of creators fully understand what they're getting into the moment they put themselves on camera in this type of an industry.
right. No, I agree with you totally. Let me ask you: you started out behind the camera. What prompted you to get in front of the camera?
So this is a little bit of a funny story. So long time ago, like I said, I've been in this industry for 15, 16 years. I answered an ad on Craigslist for a professional photographer with their own gear who was willing to take or okay with taking pictures of semi-nude and nude female models. And I was like, I mean, at the time I was 21, 2021. And I was like, yeah, I'd love this, So I had my gear. I lived on the East Coast. I drove down, and I walk in and I realize I'm on a porn set. And so he tells me, the producer tells me, he's like, listen, we're going to mock up this whole scene. I need you to take pictures of it. He goes, you're going to go sit over there in the corner. And he goes, when we get ready for the pop shot, you're going to come over, you're going to take some pictures. And that's all I need you to do. Here's what I'm going to pay you. Is that good? I said, not a problem. So I did this for about a year, year and a half. And I get into this nice routine. And so I'm sitting there one day and I'm just kind of like, browsing on my phone. And the male talent could not perform. And so the producer was very upset because he had paid the female co-star a lot of money to be there, and he wasn't going to get the type of scene he wanted. So half jokingly, half serious, he turns around to me and he goes, "You want to do this?" And I said, I mean, before he even finished getting the words out of his mouth, I was like, clothes are off. I'm like, let's do it. And so I jump in, and one of the things that I'm known for is I come a lot. And so when
Hmm.
I did the pop shot, it was a facial type of website, and he sees this and he goes, "This is amazing." He goes, "This is the best first cum shot I've ever seen." He goes, "If I paid you more money, would you still come down to take the pictures and then at the end do the pop shots so we could get like really good facials?" And I'm like, "So you're going to pay me more money and I get to be in porn? Like, who says no to this?" And so that's where it
Right.
all started. It just and then I worked with some of the other brands that they had and became friends with some of the agents, and I would go between New Jersey and Florida and work with some of the companies and whatnot. So yeah, it was just by chance that I happened to be there and was asked to step in as a stunt cock.
Understood. Now, moving from the East Coast to the West Coast, have you seen any difference in the, I guess, the scene there as far as the adult scene?
I'm, being based in the desert here.
Hmm.
There's not, when I first moved here, I didn't realize how big of an adult scene there was. But it's not as well known. So once you're in the
Hmm.
circle, you understand where a lot of it is. But most people don't realize that we have some really good creators, some really good studios here. So they typically fly over us and go to Vegas or go to LA. But overall, I mean, I think the biggest thing is just kind of the shift in attitude. Is just it's a little bit more laid back out here.
Right.
Just kind of easygoing sort of thing. East Coast was always just, go, 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 get there, get in, get it done sort of thing. But
Makes sense.
outside of that, it was a lot of the same between the two.
Okay. Now, I saw on one of your pictures you had a Xbox controller in your hand. Are you an avid gamer?
I do. I used to be an avid gamer. Now, unfortunately, work life has taken over a lot of that. But I do game a little bit. Yeah.
Okay. What games are you playing right now? Or I should say, what are some of your favorite games?
I was actually just telling somebody a story the other day, and when Xbox first came out, I was still living at home with my parents and my brother, and we had gotten it for Christmas, and so my brother and I hooked it up to his TV because he had the big TV at the time, and we started playing Xbox. And the first game we played, because it came with the Xbox, was Halo. And here I am, 22, 23 years later, still playing Halo. I don't know what it is. It's probably one of my favorite games because it was the intro to it, but that's the game I play most often when I sit down.
It's funny because I had an Xbox 2 when it came out. I was grad school. I didn't get into Halo 1. For some reason, Halo 1 was one of those FPS that just caused motion sickness for me. So I'm like, and I
Mhm.
wasn't really a big of an FPS person. But I was telling a family member because they were quite young, so they don't. I was watching a video on how 2004 was just like a great game, a great year for games, and it talked about the midnight launch of Halo 2. And I said, "Oh, I was there," and they were like, "You're what?" I'm like, "Oh no, I was there. Midnight launch of Halo 2. I still got my steel book in the garage. I played every other Halo since then.
Mhm.
I'm still working through Infinite at the moment. I am
Mhm.
Thursday night. I'm sitting in a den every night to watch the Halo TV show. Like, so I feel you on that way. Halo is, there's something about the series as
Yeah.
a sci-fi head that it just grabs you with the story.
Mhm.
Even more so than just the gameplay. Like for my channel as well as my man's channel, I do segment weekly called Game Bites, so I just kind of play through like little bits of video games, just a small snippet, 10 to 15 minutes at most. And one of the first ones I did was ODST because
Mhm.
I went back to it because I remember when it came out. I'm sitting in my living room, and now I'm a grown man then with my own house. I'm sitting in the living room and I'm playing this, and I just remember the atmosphere and just the quiet and the gameplay, how it was so different from the other games, but it was still Halo, and it was just such a wonderful game to play through. And that is just something I've really gotten from the Halo games in general, the mainline first person shooters. Not I haven't dabbled into Halo Wars. I'm not really into RTSs, but just the
Mhm.
mainline games, it's just the story and the pacing, even Halo 5 Guardians. I've just really enjoyed every single aspect of the series.
Yeah, and I agree with you on that one for sure. And I recommend at some point trying to get in and play Halo Wars. It's a lot of fun, especially the second one. I played the first one and it was good. I really like the second one. They've added a lot of features to it. I don't play that as often. I prefer the FPS, but it's they meld that very well into the Halo Wars to now give you, that strategy. So yeah, it's a lot of fun. I love the
Right.
series. I love the story.
I even bought the Halo mobile games that when they originally came out on Windows Phone and
Yep.
PC. Like I still have those too. So yeah, I definitely am a Halo fan. So okay, you have this great beard. How do you get your beard like that?
This has been a lot of trial and error. And honestly, right now, just kind of looking at it, it needs to be cleaned up a little bit. I'm due for
Mhm.
the barber, but I have some shoots I'm going to Vegas for next week, so I'll get it tuned up right before that. But honestly, it was a lot of trial and error right around COVID. I had a short beard like yours. It was much easier to maintain at that time, and COVID hit and I was like, well, I'm not going anywhere. So I let it grow and
Right.
grow and grow. And at one point I actually had it down to here. I mean, it was just this massive beard and it was a pain to take care of. Like I had a straightener and I was doing that. So finally, this is probably about 3 years ago. So just as kind of, everybody was coming out of COVID or things were starting to open back up again, find this great barber, probably about 20 minutes away from me. High recommendations, Italian guy. And I go in and I showed him some pictures. That's all I had to do. I was like, this is what I want my beard to look like. And he went in and he just styled the whole thing. And I walk away and I was like, this is what I want it to look like. So, he did it for a number of years. He actually just retired recently. So I found another barbershop guy. I walk in, he's got the same beard like me. So he just comes in and, he gets it all trimmed up nice. And then I just do a little maintenance work over, I typically get it trimmed every 2 to 3 weeks. And so I'll do a little bit of maintenance in there, kind of take out some of the stragglers down at the bottom. But like the Brady Bunch, you got to brush this thing every single day. Like that's what happens. I have one of my brushes right here. Every so often I just get in there and brush it, make sure it maintains its shape.
It's something like that. I have a smaller beard, but I got a really nice beard brush a couple months ago. And when I got that, I realized this is why everybody's always brushing their beard, because it's so therapeutic.
Yeah, it really is. And especially like one of these, it's like it's a softer bristle. So you just take it and just run it through. But yeah, it feels so nice on the beard.
Right. Okay, so you're with Webster Style. Are you any fragrances at all?
So I body chemistry is big, and so you take a fragrance and you put it on me and it smells one way. You put it on you and it smells a different way. You put it on a third guy, it's completely different. So for the longest time, I experimented with all different kinds of fragrances, and I thought it smelled good. Spray it in the air, you're like, oh, this is good. Put it on you, and you're like, did I put on deodorant today? Like, what happened?
Right.
And so I went through and I tried a lot of different ones. What I have found, and you'll laugh at this because it's not a traditional fragrance. It is something that people joke about all the time, but it's one that I actually get. It works very well with my body chemistry, and I get a lot of compliments on it. It's Axe body spray, and it's the Dark Temptation. And so it has this heavier, kind of a chocolatey sort of smell to it. I have had people walk past me and stop and go, "What are you wearing?" And I'm like, Axe body spray. And they're like, "Are you serious?" I'm like, "Yes, I'm wearing Dark Temptation Axe body spray." So I don't know what it is. It works very well with my body chemistry. I have another one that I got from Target that if I need something, what I would call like a little bit more professional sort of thing, not as sweet smelling. I use that, but I don't remember the name of it offhand. I got it at Target or something like that.
Okay. All right. Well, I personally, I'm not a big body spray fan per se. I know I got asked like a long time ago before I got into fragrances. I recently got, and since it's right here, like this is what Whiskey Reserve from Bath and Body Works. They aren't bad at all. I think to some extent they've come a long way, but something you said is very important. I always say fragrances are different on everybody. It may smell very cheap aerosoly on me, but it may be totally different for you. I have a friend of mine actually who has always been a very musky guy, always, even when we were in college. So now he is trying to find the fragrance that really works with his body chemistry and going through sort of the motions as far as finding what works and what doesn't. So yeah, you're right. A lot of it is really just that experimentation of finding out what works with your body chemistry and what smells good on you, not just smells good out of the bottle.
Yeah, absolutely. And and I found when I was experimenting with it too, I would put it on right after I took a shower, because that has, your skin's clean, so it has, you might have a little bit of residue from the soap that you were using too. And so it smells different. Then I'd put it on in the middle of the day, so after I've been out of the shower for a while, my, naturally my oils came through, and I'd put it on after like a workout. And then that way it was just like, I had different, my body was in different states when I would put it on. And so I would have, and it's very different smells. And so what I find is that for me, it works best right out of the shower, put it on nice and clean. But then as I go throughout the day and I start to sweat a little bit, it really comes out, and even I can smell it. And it's just a very pleasant smell, and again, that's the same reaction that I've had from other people. So yeah, chemistry is real big.
Right. Got you. Well, let me ask you a question. So, has your course officially launched yet? Before I let you go, I want to make sure that's out there.
Yeah, absolutely. Course is officially launched.
Okay.
You can go ahead and sign up for the course. For the show, I actually have a special link for everybody. So they can go to it's thepornstarcourse.com and /Webster style. And then that will link them to you. And then when they go to sign up for the course, they can save $200 off of the amount. Just put in the code Webster style, and that's it. Get them signed up. And if you're really good at learning and taking in information, you can go from knowing nothing to understanding how to successfully shoot and publish a scene within 14 days. So it gets them into the industry fairly quickly, teaches them a lot of the key important parts to it. And then we have some other great stuff coming down. We have some master classes coming out. So for those who want to learn more about editing, more about, the art of filmmaking, the cinematography, those who want to learn about how to set up their business for the best tax deductions. I mean, that's something that, a lot of people don't talk about in this business. And so, we're going to have master classes on those. I plan on offering mentorship at the end. And so, I've had a lot of creators come to me and go, well, this person won't work with me because I don't have any content. But if I can't shoot with somebody, how do I get content to show them? And so we're going to have a mentorship where I will do a one-to-many, kind of a small group. So 1 to, 10 or 15, where we'll answer their exact questions. We'll help them communicate with, potential co-stars. We'll help them through their questions on paperwork. And then at the end, we're gonna have a shoot house where they can come in with myself and my business partners, and we will teach them how to shoot a scene using their equipment, shoot a scene using mid-grade equipment, and then shoot a scene using cinema grade equipment. So now they get experience on all of it. They're able to come in and work with a number of different co-stars. So it answers that question of, well, if I don't have content, how can I get out there and work with people? Well, by getting this mentorship, they can go through, do the shoot house, and now they'll have content to be able to show off and go, hey, here's what I can do.
Okay. Cool. So we got that link. What are your other links so people know?
Other links. So website is just azpornstar.com. You can find all of my content on there. And then if you're on Twitter, at azpornstar, and that's it. I keep my social media fairly small. There's usually a lot going on, so I try and minimize how much work I got to do.
Understood. Well, AZ Pornstar, thank you for your time. Definitely appreciate it. You guys, Webster Style, we out.
Appreciate you. Thank you.
That was AZP. That was a very interesting and enlightening conversation. And if you're interested in pursuing those new entrepreneurial efforts, make sure you check out the Pornstar course / Webster Style, if I remember correctly. If not, links in the show notes. If you're interested, get a discount. But of course, we had to talk about fragrances. And this week, I am revisiting a fragrance that I'm revisiting a fragrance from a fragrance house that always delivers when they say they're going to give you above average performance up to 12 hours. And that is Authenticity Perfumes. And today and this week, we are going with one of their scents that I think that is versatile, unique in many respects as far as I'm concerned, and one that is crisp, clean, and manly. And we are talking about Clean Musk. This right here is going to be a fragrance where you're going to find main chords of freshness, as I said, fruitiness, woodiness, a little bit of animalics in it, and a creaminess, definitely a creaminess, with notes of bergamot, lime, sandalwood, and white musk. Now, there is a that combination of the sandalwood and the musk, really, for me and my nose, is where a lot of that creaminess comes into it. The bergamot and lime adds a lovely freshness, and the musk, since it's a white musk, it's a masculine sort of appeal, a bubble, but it's not overpowering and is not super duper pungent. It's a softness that's there, and then the sandalwood with it just gives you the woodiness as well as the combination of that creaminess. Is a fragrance that I enjoy wearing. I think that because of the duration and even the projection of authenticity fragrances, but particularly talking about white musk, I think it's a fragrance that for me I can wear in different seasons because it's light enough for a warmer climate, for a summer or a spring. Now, I wouldn't necessarily wear this as if I was going out in the summer. I think I want something a bit more summery, a bit more lighter, maybe citrusy. But for a spring scent like now, I think it works very well. Winter as well, I think the musk really takes a good hold in the cold weather. So it's one of those fragrances that has a versatility that is very surprising. At least for me in my skin, it works in different sorts of climates and it just works in general. This is a fragrance that I really enjoy wearing. I try to wear it sparingly, and there are, like, for instance, the diesel lotion that I have from Honey and Milk. I like pairing that with it because it has cashmere, it has musk, it has amber. So you get the creaminess of it, of this and that musk, and then it's mixed with the amber and the cashmere of the lotion, and it really gives a heightened sense to the musk for the clean musk, as well as it helps to project that scent bubble that I usually have throughout the course of the day wearing this. So that is my fragrance of the week, Clean Musk from Authenticity Parfums. And closing out with the fragrance of the week, let's talk about some sponsors or some affiliates, or basically some ways you can get some really high quality products at a little bit of a price, or discounted price, I should say. First of all, let's talk about Basil and Sage. Basil and Sage is a premium subscription box service where they offer contents from black-owned businesses. Now, you can get individual products as well, but I definitely suggest a subscription box, usually running about $50. You can get 10% off using the code Sotoyo and Geek 10. In the aforementioned segment about the fragrance, I talked about the lotion from Honey Milk Company. That's where I got that from Basil and Sage in one of their boxes, and it's such a great product to use. In addition to that, you get a bunch of items that are well worth the $50 that you pay for it before the discount, obviously. But with discount 10% off, obviously you do the math. So I definitely recommend that. So that code is Sotoyo Geek 10. Also, if you're looking for a good shirt or a way of going without this tie here, having your collars all the way nice and firm, or just making sure that you're nice and neat, I definitely check out Go Tieless. GoTieless.com. Use the code Webster Style to get 10% off of your purchase. Anything from the actual shirts with the collar placards built into the plastic collars yourself, or placards that you insert in that you're tailored to keep your collars nice and firm without a tie, without collar stays. Also, great accessories like the cuff adapters, which I use all the time. Collar stays, the metal ones, I think I have some in right now from Million Dollar Collar / Go Tieless, as well as other menswear accessories that will definitely help you up your wardrobe. And that's, again, GoTieless.com or Million Dollar Collar. But what you need to remember is Webster Style to use to get 10% off your first purchase there. Then, of course, talking about fragrances, talking about menswear, men's care, you're talking about Pete and Pedro. Pete and Pedro has a whole host of green products for you, from deodorants to hair care products, and my favorite, the fragrances. The fragrances are really top notch. $50 for 50 ml bottles. They are inspired by some of the leading fragrances out there, and they are well worth the money. I myself purchased Villain, which is a derivative or inspired by Tom Ford's Tobacco Vanilla. Was vanilla? I don't know which one it is. Anyway, it is amazing and is well worth the money I paid for it, and it's so good. It is such a high quality fragrance. You will not think that it was only $50. Use the link in the show notes to get 10% off your first purchase. And then there is my favorite local coffee company. Well, at least it's local to me. El Viajero Coffee. I absolutely love their dark roast, and I literally drink it every morning. So much so I'm going through their coffee very quickly because it is so addictive for me. But they have an extensive variety of coffees and roasts, all sourced ethically and locally from farmers in South America. They go down on themselves and make the trades or the deals themselves with the local farmer. So no middleman. It's from farmer to El Viejo Coffee to you. You can get 10% off your first purchase by using the code Webster Style at checkout. Now, of course, I'm here, but I'm also a lot of other places around the web. You can find me every week over in Nerds of the World. First of all, with the NRW Checkpoint, my man Brian Saff and I talking about the latest and greatest in video game news and releases, and then also talking wrestling with my man Kuya P and the voiceover king Sean Mongold every week on Kayfabe Baby, the NRW Ring Generals podcast. You can find me over there again twice a week, and probably a couple more times because also Game Bites is over there, as well as a bunch of trailer reactions a couple times a week as well. So I'm busy. But of course, you also find me on just regular social media. You can find me on X as well as Instagram at Webster Style. You can also find Sartorian Geek on Instagram, and then of course on TikTok you can find me at _Webster Style. Be sure to find anything that is Webster Style. I should say anything and everything that is Webster Style can be found at websterstyle.com. And if you want to reach out to me, shout me out, send an email, info@websterstylemagazine.com. Again, I thank you for your time. I thank you for your listening ear. Remember, stay safe out there and be blessed.
Swag out them balls. Is that bow tie paisley? Ah, you're a killer. Ooh, I mean, this is me right here. Baby, you see this? Nah, this is... Hold on. I mean, I can change. I thought... Never mind, forget it. I'm a Jenny, Infinity, Muffin, finicky when it comes to the killing spree, aka that's an ensemble. Are you the enemy if you're not defending the presence of Millie in the vicinity without a bow tie? Okay, I might